And all right,
And
he's starting. UncleRonny starting. Looks like again stream delays aren't entirely synced, but that doesn't matter as it's just a prologue right now, and the prologue moves very quickly. So even despite not having the dash, using jumping to move faster, the prologue still moves very quickly.
yeah. So yeah, as Laura mentioned, we can jump. Saves about 2 frames per jump there, so it's free time saves, so the players will jump as much as they can there. We also can climb walls, as you saw a little bit, and now we're going to be able to dash.
Wow. Movement techniques.
Oh yeah, this is Celeste. This is a precision platformer game here with a lot of speed tech, mostly for, or that's going to be used to build up some crazy momentum later on, and going to go through these levels pretty quickly here, even though it can be fairly difficult. We'll see how these runs do.
Yeah.
Starting off with Forsaken City, so just going to quickly go over the movement tech here. So we have dash jumps, which is a dash followed by a jump, gives a nice bit of height as well as some speed, but not as much speed as the hyper dash, which is a downward diagonal dash followed by a jump. Gives a, as I said, a much more speed, but not as much height. But it's still going to be mainly used just because of speed is important in a speedrun. And especially prevalent in Chapter 1, but of course also used later on, is wall bounces, which is a upward dash next to a wall and then followed by a wall jump, which gives a lot more speed, both upwards and outwards, to your wall jumps.
Yeah. It's really interesting because as soon as we get the dash, like with all the stuff you mentioned, there's just so many things that open up to do a lot of things in a lot of different ways. So like, you just get like a burst of speed forward and suddenly we have like 5 different techniques that we abuse a lot within just the first stage, which the first stage at even like a decent level, like somewhere like UncleRonny's level, who their PB is like I think a mid 40. So it's still pretty decently far away from record, but it's still usually under a minute and a half, and just the amount of stuff that happens with the dash is absurd.
Definitely. I'm going to see UncleRonny here using some neutral wall bounces there, so, or neutral wall jump, sorry. So when you wall jump in this game, it normally takes some stamina, but by not holding a directional input, you can gain, or first not holding a directional input, and then once you do the wall jump, you input to the walls again. You can get a little bit of height with each jump, but without consuming stamina. So
yeah, and it looks like gnirts having a little bit of problem with the neutral jumps getting up. gnirts has been telling us that there's been a little bit of an internet problem on their end, so unfortunately can't really do anything about the kind of stuttering. But it looks like he's up there.
All right, and meanwhile the other runners have moved into old side here, and old side introduces a new mechanic here with the dream blocks. So as you see, the runners are dashing into them and then getting sent through in that direction until the block ends. And if they do hit a wall, they will get splattered, which is not very nice. And Cookie is now started up with the battle line chase here, where the evil part of your battle line will chase you around, copying your every move with a 3-second delay. So if you played like Mario Sunshine, it's like, or is it Sunshine? Galaxy. Shadow Mario Galaxy, right? I forget which.
I think the Cosmic Clones are from Galaxy 2.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, they copy your every input, so they will also go very fast, but it's not usually a problem until these later rooms here that Cookie's in right now, where you have to do some backtracking to collect coins to open doors, where the battle lines can actually get in your way, and you will have to be a bit smart about it. Cookie not having much trouble there, getting out and being home free from those evil clones.
I'm sorry, I was trying to handle something with the stream.
No worries.
So wasn't able to talk much, but
Cookie now in the awake section here, where it's just a lot of movement. There's not really anything that can kill you. So there's just going to be a bunch of hyper dashes, some dash jumps there to get through this as cleanly as possible. There's a lot of corners and pillars you can get stuck on, so they want to be moving in fairly specific ways to get through this fast.
Alright, so headed into chapter 3 now. Chapter 3 is kind of where the difficulty really starts to pick up after the first 2 chapters, and because not only is it going to be much longer than the first 2 chapters were, but there's also dust bunnies, which really introduces you to cycles. So the dust bunnies are going to move in set patterns at set speeds and times, and those cycles will actually change if you die compared to when you enter the screen for the first time. So you kind of have to be wary of where they are, because if you die, they're probably not going to be where you're used to them being, and you're going to have to kind of improvise. Granted, there are backups for if you die when you don't mean to.
Yeah, so the races are the top 2 are racing and the bottom 2 are racing. So, yeah. And also we have this interesting new mechanic here, keys, and they will open doors for you. It's incredible. Yeah,
I've never seen anything like it.
I'm never going to stop using that joke. I think it's too good.
Yeah, I've actually not heard that one. That's a good one.
I mean, okay, good. Well, I've only used it, like, I think in 5 races so far, so it's fine.
Yeah.
We have also
it
now...
It really just shows how unique this game is.
Yeah. Nerds is now finished up with Old Side as well, so he's going to be joining the others in the hotel. Meanwhile, Cookie is starting up with the huge mess section here, where Oshiro has left, the hotel manager Oshiro has left a bunch of boxes, towels, and books everywhere, and we have to clean them up for him, because we're just that nice. So we have 3 sections here, 1 for each of the 3 items I mentioned, and the runners will most likely go in the same path, and it's based on where Oshiro will be after. He's always in the same position, like after each number of rooms. So by taking the one that's closest, we can minimize the amount of movement we have to do in this mess section, because, well, it's a messy section and you can't really utilize any sort of hyper jumps or anything. So it's just very slow to navigate. And Rack has also started here with the huge mess in the first section now. UncleRonny just about to enter it, and Nerds a bit behind there in the first couple rooms of the hotel.
Mm-hmm. The beginning part of the hotel is kind of, I don't know the best way to put it. A lot of people don't really think about it when they think about the big, like, difficulties in Celestial Resort, but I do think that if you're not careful, it can be really hard to even get to the rest of the hotel.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like deceptively hard, I guess, because you're like, oh, it's the first couple of rooms shouldn't be that hard, but then
no,
you're not really thinking about it.
I mean, I can see what other people are thinking. Like, it's probably the easiest part of the level compared to everything else in it, but it's still one of those parts where if you're not, like, where it can still trip you up easily if you're not careful.
Alright, fair enough, yeah. And Cookie's now finished up with the huge mess here. We're gonna go into the elevator shaft. We have Rack in the second part, and Ronny just finishing up the first part. Nerds still a bit behind, unfortunately, and is about to enter the huge mess here in a couple rooms.
Yeah. Ooh, Cookie, that is a rough death to have.
Yeah.
When you hold down while falling, you can fall down faster, but if you're not careful, you can fall faster. You can hit the dust bunnies faster than when you're not holding down.
And now in Cookie's room, I think we're gonna see some chain hypers. Nice.
Yeah, that's a really nice looking screen when it's done right.
Yeah, it's a pretty precise couple hypers with, like, you have to hold jump for a fairly specific amount of time. Yeah. So getting it first whatever is very, very nice. Rack now also entering the elevator shaft here. Ronny in the third part, and Nurse has now just entered the very first part of the huge mess there. And Cookie's about to start up with the Oshiro fight here. So Oshiro, like the dust bunnies, is also on a set cycle, but unlike dust bunnies, he actually tracks your vertical position, sends out a lightning bolt just to indicate that he's gonna attack, which is very nice of him, and then actually attacks. Cookie so far having a very, very clean resort, just that one fairly, like, not too bad of a death even, but that's about the only mistake I can remember. And Rack now also getting that key and moving into the Oshiro fight. Ronny just starting up with elevator shaft, Nurse in the second part there of the huge mess. So still doing fairly well there.
And Cookie moving super quickly, already into the last screen of Ashiro, but this one is very long and very challenging the whole way through. They're just dust bunnies at a lot of corners where it's not convenient for you, but makes it through. Really clean resort from Cookie there. And
is that a 5:22? That's a really, really good time for a resort.
That's really good.
And now we have Rack, in the sheer fight as well. Ronny there going for those chain hypers, almost gets it, but gets tripped up on that last dust bunny, unfortunately. There we go, gets second try though.
Second try though, very good.
And we have Nerds in the last for the huge mess there.
The towels.
Yeah.
Probably the easiest section in my opinion.
Really, I think I had the most trouble running that actually when I was starting speedrun.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't really think about it too much, but yeah, actually, I don't know what I'm saying. It's probably not the easiest.
I don't know. To each their own. I personally had a problem with it, but I'm not gonna what's it called? Not gonna mock you for thinking it's easy, which that would make no sense. Ronny is now also in the sheer fight there. Rack about to finish up there in the last room, and Cookie is in the golden ridge already. A bit in. We haven't even talked about it. So. For Ridge, we have new mechanics, of course. We have clouds here that act like trampolines for some reason. We have this wind here that acts like wind and pushes you around. And we have arrow blocks that move in the direction the arrow is pointing. If they have like an open end, like you saw on that block in the previous room for Cookie, you can actually sort of control direction. We'll see that in the next room there. And we also have, I've forgotten one thing, green bubbles.
I think people call them teal, but green.
I'm gonna say they're green bubbles, and I do not care what people think about the color. They're green.
I mean, teal is just like green-blue, so...
Okay, they're green. And they give you an extra dash in the air. I've already had this debate. They're green.
There you go. I'm not gonna stop you. I'm saying.
Okay, they're doing a very nice auto-scroll skip there. A very common thing in this game is going to be utilizing the moving blocks to give you a bunch of speed for your hyper dashes, dash jumps, and all the other good stuff.
Yeah. Cookie with the I don't know about you, but I personally think that one of the roughest things to do when it comes to movement technique throughout most of the run is reverse dashes, like reverse extended dashes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So it's kind of crazy because I never realized how many strats are actually in Golden Ridge that involve reversing, and it's just like it's just kind of a really scary stage in general because the wind is not nice, especially Cookie entering the cliff face now, where the wind gets so fast that you basically have to be doing some sort of dash to move forward at all.
Yeah, and this is also like the I think pretty much the first part here where the big difference between the casual and speedrunning experience going to come in, just because we can utilize hyperdash and still move through these streams really, really quickly, whereas casual players would just have like the occasional dash and going through it very, very slowly. So you can really see how much the different dash techniques will help out here. And Cookie getting out of that snowball section really, really quickly. I don't know if you even have it in jets. Nice little reverse wave dash there from the bubble there.
Yeah.
Entering now the very last from here of the Golden Ridge. Gonna get was that a 320-ish?
A very good Golden Ridge time.
Very, very good Golden Ridge time. 320, I think it was 321 or something. Let's see.
I don't know.
I can barely tell. Something 3.
It's small.
And let's see. We have Rack there about to enter the cliff face, Harshwind section. Ronny sort of in the middle there or something, and Nerds in the last room there of the Ishiro fight.
Yeah.
Bit of trouble there. That room is a really challenging one, so I can't blame for that.
So that was a really interesting strat from Rack the Kitty there, entering cliff face. I don't think I've ever seen anyone grab that, but made it work.
I missed that. I'll need to check that.
It was interesting. So Cookie just did a kind of big skip there. Red bubbles, which are bubbles. There's two differences between red bubbles and the bubbles in the previous stage, and that is one, Basically, everybody has the same consensus on their color. And 2, unlike just having a normal dash, they keep dashing until they either hit a wall or you dash out of them. So, kind of similar to Dream Blocks in that sense, except you can control their direction once you're in them. You can dash out of them. Basically, Dream Blocks with less risk of death.
Yeah, that sounds about right, actually.
So, I like them. Although Dream Blocks are a cool mechanic on their own.
We have Rack the Kitty there in the very last room. Gets that swag berry as well, just because he can. Nicely done.
Why do people even go for that berry? Stop! That berry, I'm not a fan of that berry.
I will. Cookie now coming up on the mirror here, and he's gonna be meeting some new friends. I say ironically, so these are the secrets here, and the statue is gonna break open now. And these can break the red blocks, as you see right now. They will also not actually dash, but they do track where Madeline is and tries to eat her like that. What's more interesting is that they home in on you just like snowballs or Shiro, but they home in on both your vertical and horizontal position, and they keep trying to home in on you after they started moving. And this can be used pretty interestingly in the next section here, the unraveling section, to actually make them sort of pick up coins for you, which we're probably going to see Cookie utilize to great efficiency, I guess. And just update their rack, just to the little skip there with the key, about to enter the what I like to call dark section. UncleRonny there just finishing up with Golden Ridge, and Nurse still in the early stages there of the ridge.
Yeah. Looks like getting close to the spike jump area. Which, I don't know if we ever explained spike jumps.
I don't think we did.
Well, what Nerds, I don't know if Nerds is going to go, he's going for it right there. So basically when you're moving away from spikes, they don't have a hitbox, so there's a small part of the wall while jumping away from the wall that you can wall jump off of, and since you're moving away, the spikes won't damage you, so if you can get that specific area of the wall where you can wall jump, you can get enough height to dash upwards to the next screen, which, again, a bit of a problem with Nerds' internet, but by how he's already at this portion, I think it's safe to guess that he got the spike jump very quickly.
You got it. Oh, and now on Cookiepocalypse, we have the biggest skip here. Surge skip, reverse extended dash jump, gets the first try, easy every time. Nicely done.
This is not easy every time.
It's easy every time.
It's easy like maybe 80% of the time, but you can't always mess it up because the reverses are difficult.
Just like everything in this game, you can't mess it up if you really try, or you just can't mess it up anyway. So that skip, normally in this section you would have to collect 2 keys and then take a red bubble to get through the spikes, but because we have speed tech, we can just do a very nice little reverse extended dash jump.
Yeah, and then we get to Theo.
Theo,
your movement is slower while you're holding Theo, because you can't dash or stuff like that. However, when you pick up Theo, Theo will store your momentum and kind of mess around with it a little bit, which can allow you to do speed stuff that's basically as crazy as your normal speed tech, if not more.
If you've watched the task for this game, which if you haven't, you really should, you know that the Theo section can really involve some incredibly insane stuff.
Yeah, especially with these Seekers being kind of crazy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But for RTA, we're not going to see quite that many crazy things, but still, it's going to go by pretty quickly. Let's go. Oh, nice!
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
You can kind of store your momentum on a dash block with a hyper by picking up Theo, and it'll go pretty fast.
And just updating here, Nurse now on the second order scroll there, so he's about to go into the hard sprint section. Rack in the last screen there of the unraveling section, as Ronnie's just about to enter it. So top race is still pretty close actually, so we could very well have a nail biter there towards the end. But Cookie is blazing through the temple here, about to finish up in the very last room here with the giant eye, is sending out energy pulses, and retries.
I think he got pushed by something backwards, and so Theo didn't hit the eyeball, but he thought Theo hit the eyeball, and so tried to skip the cutscene. There we go.
That's the cutscene skip. Yeah, so
Rack just got search skip.
Nice. First race every time, I think. So just the inputs for retrying and skipping cutscene are the same. It's just start down A. So if you're not careful, you can just randomly retry. It's happened to the best of us, and also the second best in the world has gotten quite infamous for doing that in a certain point, which is always fun.
At a certain point. I think my favorite thing is at the very beginning of the second chapter, you can't skip the cutscene, so the retry option just doesn't work. So if you try, sometimes I accidentally try skipping that cutscene and I just switch my rumble options. Cookie got lake skip, which is a very difficult skip that saves a few seconds right here at the beginning of reflection. Got it super quickly, so it probably saved like 4 seconds.
4 or 5, I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. That's very nice though. That is a really, really precise trick, because you have 2 wall bosses that are like almost pixel per, like a couple of pixels to work with only. So it's a really precise trick, so it was very nicely done for him. Or by him, sorry. Now moving in here to the hollow section version, we also have new mechanics, of course. We have feathers that allow you to fly omnidirectionally. Bit of run in there between Kevin and that crumble block. There we go, I guess for the second time though. Yeah, thank you, Lloyd. 3 pixels on the leg skip. The feathers allow you to move in omnidirectionally and are just very fun to deal with. We have Kevin blocks that you dash into and then they move towards where you dashed until they hit a wall or fly off the screen. And called Kevin blocks because of Kevin that did the voice for them. Thank you, Kevin. And we also have bumpers that act like pinball bumpers, and I don't know how to explain that better. Meanwhile, we have our gnirts there in the very last screen of Golden Ridge, so he's about to start up Temple. But Rack, at the same time, is just about to finish up with Temple. Ronnie in the middle parts there of the Theo section. And Cookie is just keeping on blazing through these levels here. In the last, I think it's the last couple of rooms there of the hollow section. So he's moving very, very fast through these levels. There we see Rack now moving into reflection. Ronnie struggling a little bit there with the Theo. Oh, there we go. Gets through that in the last room now of the temple, or second last room actually. Meanwhile, Cookie still blazing through here in the last room here before meeting up with Grandma and starting the Battleline Chase reversal, or whatever you want to call it, where you actually chase Battleline. We'll get to that soon. Rack opting not to go for Lake Skip, which is very fair. It's pretty darn hard.
It's pretty darn hard. Saves like 4 or 5 seconds. Not a lot of people go for it unless they know they can do it. Yeah. I mean, some people go for it for the memes, but
oh, that's the best part. This
is a close race on the right here, so on the top here. So I can imagine Rack wanting to play it safe.
Absolutely.
Especially because even if a race is close, like 30 or so seconds apart, being the one with the 30-second lead is always just something you want to do.
Of course. And Cookie is now blazed, just like he's done throughout his race. Gone through the first part of the Battleline Chase here, and on the Kevin block now towards the Battleline fight. He's gonna go for the Battleline boost here. Let's see if he gets it. Flying in, and he gets the full Battleline boost really, really nicely. Once again, utilizing that Kevin block momentum there to just get a huge amount of speed, flying through the first room and then straight into Battleine's face for the first punch of his fight. So the Battleline fight here is just a bunch of optimization here, of course. When you actually get into Madeline's face and, as like say, punch her, you get your dash back. And most of the time we're going to see the runners utilizing that dash to get to grounds as fast as possible so they can use their speed tech.
Yeah. I don't remember if I caught you saying that hitting Battleline gives you your dash back.
I did.
I did. Okay, I'm just not listening apparently.
Don't worry. At least I'm listening to myself, I think.
Yeah, that's important. You gotta always make sure you know what you're saying so that you can know how to improve. Battling is basically not proving my point. Very nice skip there. Cookie doing a small thing to skip having to use one of those pinball bumpers because those things are annoying. This game does not have enough momentum-based mechanics, so let's just add legitimate pinball bumpers as a mechanic. Yeah.
Sounds good.
They're great. It looks like as Rack the Kitty is done with split pads and is now just working their way to Grandma, Ronnie is just entering split pads, so they're pretty close.
Yeah. I'd say so. Rack also in the red split there, so not having the best reflection so far for him. We'll see how that continues. And Cookie now has started with the second segment here, where Battleline has turned Ultimate Evil and gained the power of telekinesis for some reason. And so he's just going to be moving around, but of course it's not going to bother us too much because we have Speed Tech.
Yeah. Just like the Dust Bunnies, we kind of know how the cycles work based on just playing the game a bit too much. So...
A bit? That's
a bit
sure.
Too much.
Let's move on.
We played it for over an hour, so that's a bit too much.
Over an hour. Yeah, that is so much.
That's too much Celeste, honestly. This game is... no, but Nert's coming up on Search Skip. And Cookie's on the last room of the fight.
Search Skip for Survivor. Nice.
Very nice. And that looked like a pretty alright battle and boost for Rack the Kitty.
Oh, I missed it, sorry.
Just entering
because
the
Cookie
fight
has now...
as Cookie leaves it.
Yeah, Cookie is having a pretty nice lead here. Having a fairly, just clean run overall so far, so very nice for him. As he's now about to finish up here with Reflection, gaining his level up second dash, and of course the wonderful pink hair. So next chapter's it's called Summit, it's called. Is gonna be, of course, heavily based around having the 2 dashes, so we're gonna see the new interesting mechanics at play here when we actually have access to double the dashes that we had before. So
yeah. And now time for the greatest level in any video game you've ever played.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
So this is the Summit. It's basically going to be, you're going to have, before it gets into its own original stage, you're going to have kind of a recap segment of every previous stage. And it is going to be built around the fact that you have 2 dashes, and you can tell because there's just going to be either giant pits or too many spikes. Just a lot of spikes. Or sometimes
both.
Yeah, so you're going to see a lot of the airtime in Summit. You're going to get a lot of airtime, get a lot of those, you know, points. You probably do, a lot of 360s with how much you're in the air. But this is not a skateboarding game, this is a platformer. Because apparently the 2 are not mutually exclusive.
Who would have thought? So Cookie is now just absolutely destroyed the first section and going into the 500-meter section, which is the Forsaken City revamped, I guess. And
although this version of Forsaken City has the keys, which I don't think were ever in the old one.
Actually, right.
It also has us using the zippers, which was not in the old one.
I think we used 2 or 3 at max out of
I mean, the thing is, the only ones we use them just to immediately hyper dash off of them because they're just in the way. Here we actually have to kind of go on them to get speed and move forward and stuff.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of open pits.
Now Cookie entering the 1000-meter section here, which is a very cool section in my opinion. A lot of dream block action going on. And we're gonna see if we're actually gonna see Cookie utilizing, yep, he's already doing it. Hyper dashing out of dream blocks. As you have a couple of frames where you can input to the hyper dash inputs. Very, very precise. But gives a little bit of speed, so Cookie already used it a bit, so we'll see if he uses it more. But meanwhile, we do have Rack there in the last 2 rooms of the Battle fight. Meanwhile, Ronnie is, I think, it's about to enter the second part here in a couple rooms, so not far behind. Nerds, meanwhile, is just finishing up with Mirror Temple, so he's going to be joining the rest for Reflection shortly.
Yeah, that looks like the last room. That's the final eyeball, and that's the last hit. So
Cookie, they're utilizing those hypers out of Dream Blocks really, really nicely there. A huge amount of speed there through that streams. Wow.
I did a hyper out of a dream block accidentally today, and I was so confused because I've literally never done it before. I was like, what? Okay.
And
it wasn't even a place where it was fast to do it. I actually lost a little bit of time hypering out. I was like,
I've went for hyper dream lock once, gotten it once, and then decided 100% success rate is good, and then I've stopped doing it.
I mean, sure. I hate 1500.
We have 1500 here, the best chapter.
I'm just gonna say this about every Summit segment after.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. But for Summit here, it is generally seen as the hardest of the run.
It's a long
There's a huge amount of dust bunnies absolutely everywhere. There's a lot of really cool but really risky strats, just like these ultras right there in Cookie's room. But he just blazes through it like absolutely nothing. That's very impressive. Well done, Cookie.
Okay, wait, what these cycles? Okay. Alright, I'm just gonna.
Sorry?
Nothing. I'm just talking to myself and forgetting to stop pressing my push to talk button. It happens. It happens when your mind's in the moment, which it really does have to be for Summit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Rack now is starting up with 500 or 0 meters actually, so starting up with Summit there, running a bit behind there, just about to finish up with Reflection and going into the Summit, and gnirts is just entering Reflection. So Cookie there in 2K now with the Golden Ridge part 2. So more wind, more green bubbles, and clouds, and of course snowballs in this room here, which is lovely.
Alright. Cool. Going for auto-scroller skip. You have to extend it all the way to that block, and then wall bounce up there. Very nice. And then there's this screen, which also has a skip on it, where...
A small skip.
It's not as big as that last one, but around this part of the wall, Cookie's gonna climb up and do
there we go. Ooh, nice.
Wall bounce to get up there, and very nice. I once did both of those skips twice in a row, or like first try, both in a row, just to die on the screen after it, where you literally just hold upright and dash twice. And
that's impressive in and of itself.
Yeah, because that screen right after you do the auto-scroller skips, you literally just hold upright and dash twice, and you get through the room with like the quickest route, the quickest route possible.
Yeah. Now we have Ronny here, also has entered the 0 meter section, about to get to 500. Meanwhile, Rack is starting up with 1000 meters. Gnirts in the split path there of Reflection, so
yeah,
he has fallen a bit behind, unfortunately. But
unfortunately,
we'll keep cheering him on.
Cookie is an opponent where it's going to be very hard to look like you're doing good in a race. Yeah,
absolutely,
I don't know Gnirts' PB, so I can. I mean, I definitely think this is definitely like a decent pace. So the best I can say for Gnirts is just to keep going the pace he's going.
Yeah, it's absolutely not bad, but of course when you're up against Cookie as like a 34. Yeah, as Laura said, it's going to be hard to look like you're doing very well. But we have Rack here just about finishing up there with 1000 meters. Ronny is in the last 4 rooms of 500, I think. 3 now. Cookie going for door skip, getting door skip. First try, very nicely done. That is the most useful trick. It saves a whole second and is really precise. It's also a meme, which is why people go for it.
Yeah. Sure.
And Cookie's now finished up there with whatchamacallit, the 2500 meter, and has is actually on pretty decent PB pace. I don't want to jinx it, but if he has a good enough 3000, he could PB. His PB is a 3405, and a good 3000 will take about 3 minutes. That's gonna
have to be a really good 3000.
Absolutely, but he's had a really solid run so far, so it could really happen. It could actually happen.
Yeah. 3000 is the kind of unique part of the summit where it becomes its own type of level. It introduces, you see the wind from Chapter 4 can now move up and down, which changes your gravity, you know, how high you can go from jumps and dashes and stuff like that, and how quickly you can climb, you know, the stuff that you'd expect gravity to change.
Yeah.
Because Celeste did not invent gravity. But it also has really long screens, so there are these kind of flag thingies that count down starting from 30, and they count down to basically when you are going to be at the summit. So you see them; they have numbers on them starting from 30, and Cookie's doing really well. Already That one's 16 right there, and that's 15. So like already
And
half
that's 14.
flag numbers.
Yeah. But meanwhile, actually, the top race is looking a bit closer now. Rack just entering 2K as Ronnie is in about midway through 1500, so he's gained a bit of time here in the first two parts, so or three even.
Yeah. Well, also granted, midway through 1500 is where 1500 gets like double the evil.
Oh yeah, of course, but so far he's not having too much trouble there, going through at a very good pace.
Yeah.
Oh, and as I say that, oh, Cookie there going for a needle wall jump. There we go.
Oh, that's a very scary neutral there. Is that a neutral?
Yeah, it is neutral.
You can tell I've never done that skip before.
It's a neutral wall jump.
Skipping
with the
10.
Oh, yes.
Getting to checkpoint 9 though, very well. Sometimes people will skip checkpoints just because it's kind of slow to go for them. Just like checkpoint 8, you see right there. Cookie's not going to be trying to get because it's too far out of the way. And it's not like checkpoint 8 is all that hard on its own, but you know. Sometimes some people like to be safe, which is understandable because Summit is a very hard stage.
Of course. Now we have Rack there in the last couple rooms with 22K. Ronnie now entering 2K, so yeah, I'm not too sure about how equal it is actually. I'm gonna go check time when Rack finished up there. But meanwhile, Cookie blazing through air. He still has 30 seconds left for his PB.
I don't know if it's gonna happen.
We'll see. He's now on flag 3. If he dies, that will be the end of it. Let's hope he doesn't. Choose.
Yeah, no, at this point,
Okay.
I don't think beating 3405 is going to happen.
I'm not so sure. We'll see. 3352 coming up on the last flag there.
I mean, this checkpoint is... This flag one is not necessarily hard, but it's
Oh.
always a bit longer than you think it is.
4. There he missed it.
You hit a ledge.
3407.
Still a
2
very good
seconds
time.
off his PB, an incredibly good time. That's some ridiculous consistency too.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Seeing as how he got that 3405 yesterday, and then he just comes in and does another race because it's 3407 is incredibly impressive. Congratulations,
Absolutely.
Cookie, to winning that race. And now in the top race here, Rack is going for key skip, which he actually didn't talk about, where you can do 2 neutral wall jumps there to get enough height to do double dash and then bring it up. And now we actually have Cookie with us here. Congratulations on that run, dude.
Hello.
I was so nervous going into the 3,000 meters. I could have PB'd by like half a second there at the end.
Yeah. Your PB is 05, right?
Yeah, I got it yesterday in the tournament. So far,
Yeah.
my consistency in this tournament is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean...
I just said like
crazy.
you got a PB yesterday in the race, 34.5, and then 2. You just like get it. What's it called? Like you're off of it by 2 seconds is ridiculous consistency. So really
Now,
impressive
if I
stuff.
can just manage to not reset at the end of Mirror Temple, 33 is easy.
Right, I forgot about that. Shit.
And then
Yeah,
I had another death to the auto-scroller in Chapter 4 because I thought the block was too high and it wouldn't push me, but it wasn't, and I just messed up and died there.
Yeah. Well, it was still an incredibly impressive run. You played really solidly throughout, even with a couple mistakes there, but of course that's very understandable in this game. Was there like any part that you were particularly proud of in that run, you think?
I LPB'd Summit by 16 seconds.
Nice.
That was the first Summit I had that like felt good the whole time.
Nice, dude. That's really
That's
good.
crazy. What did you get for your Summit segment? I didn't even see the second.
927.
Okay. Okay, well, that's really good.
Yeah.
And just updating here, so Rack now on flag, was that 21, I think?
No,
As
21
Ronnie
is
is finishing.
later.
Oh, 20.
I know
guess
which one is
25, but
21
anyway.
specifically. I don't know. This one's 21.
Okay. Well,
And then
Ronnie now
Ronnie-
finishing up with 2.5K, so he's
Yeah.
still a really
Ronnie's
close
just
race up.
entering 3,000, as gnirts is now just entering Summit. So yeah. Everyone else also been playing pretty good.
This top race is really close.
Yeah.
We have like Rack has some pretty challenging checkpoints out of him, so
Yeah, anything can
don't know
happen
if
in the
he-
latter half of 3,000. I know that too much. But yeah, making great progress. Ronnie already to 21. And 12 for Rack the Kitty. Nerds onto the last screen of the base. Everyone's making pretty good progress right now through Summit. Not too much else. Although coming up to the last 10, Rack has some of the hardest checkpoints ahead of him. So we'll see if they can take those.
Get some death there on 9 as Ronnie is going to 14. Oop, that's a pretty big death for Ronnie too.
Yeah.
On 14 there, having a bit of trouble.
Actually, I just realized, what's Ronnie's PB?
That's a 40-49.
I think this might be definite sub 30 pace. Sub 40.
Sub 40. Yeah,
sub
30 would be something else.
I don't know. I've been struggling saying numbers correctly the whole tournament. I don't know. That's just a weakness.
So, Cookie, because I'm horrible at interviews, do you have any other, like, overall thoughts on your run?
For the most part, like, it was really good, but I had a ton of, like, awful deaths. Like, and then I'm just bad at reflection.
Who wasn't?
Yeah. What was your time of reflection, actually? Do you remember?
I had a 639, I think.
I mean, that sounds pretty good.
I've gotten like pretty consistent on the battle and fight, but my first half I lost like 20 to 25 seconds, and I had some like dumb deaths that should never happen.
Just gonna butt in here with Rack is now finished up and won that top race, but Ronnie is still on really good PB pace, so I'm gonna.
Yeah.
He has like 1.5 minutes left to sub 40.
Yeah,
so
I think he can do it.
We'll see.
It's always
yeah, you absolutely can.
Unsure.
He's like on checkpoint 5 now. This takes like a minute, I think, usually.
Yeah, the last checkpoints are deceptively long, especially if you die on them. Even flag 1 can always feel like a hassle, even if it's not that long.
Also, I actually remember Rex, at least on SRC, his PB is at 38.06, so if that's right, then he was just 8 seconds off his PB, which is also really impressive for consistency.
Absolutely. Alright, Ronnie on to checkpoint 2. Let's see if he can get this. Wall bouncing, getting up there. 3 jumps to not wear out stamina. This is going to be a sub 40, I think.
He's getting
as long as no flag 1 death. We're going to see it.
And Ronnie, there we go. PB sub 40, congratulations to Ronnie. And now joining us we have Rack the Kitty. Congratulations on taking that race.
Thank you. That was very exciting.
Your PB on SRC is a 38.06, is that still right?
38.06 is still correct, yeah, so just barely.
So you had an incredibly consistent time there, which is really nice.
Yeah.
We were talking about the same thing with Cookie, it was just like 2 seconds off his PB, which is absolutely incredible for consistency, so good job to both of you on those very solid runs.
Thank you. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people are PBing or getting very close in the tournament.
Yeah, it's been really interesting to see PBs.
Yeah.
Any overall thoughts on your run? Anything that went extra good or bad for you?
I get so worried about how my opponent's doing, and trying to make sure that everything's going on. There's a lot more pressure in a race context because I know what my PB is, but I don't know how Ronnie's going to run or how any of my opponents are going to run. So there's always this kind of need to pressure yourself a little bit, and I think as a result of that, I make a lot of really goofy mistakes in a lot of places.
That's understandable. Tournament nerves can get the best of some people, but didn't show too much of it though, since you still got such a consistent time, so close to your PB is very good.
Yeah, all in all, I feel it went very well, besides a couple of goof ups here and there.
Yeah, everyone does
goof ups. Always has a couple of problem spots.
Yeah.
What's a good run without some really dumb deaths,
Absolutely.
Okay, I regret my words.
As long as you get door skips, the deaths don't matter.
That's the only thing that matters. Just get doorstep, GG.
Oh, is that why I've lost like all my minute and a half ahead runs in the tournament to
Yes.
Summit because I don't do door skip?
Yes.
It all makes sense now.
See, I'm kind of surprised because I've been like the exact opposite on Summit recently. Somehow, I used to like lose 2 minutes every run, but I'm not bad anymore.
Every single tourney race, I was like really far ahead entering Summit, and then I lost it in Summit. Like Summit's just mean.
Summit used to be a lot of time lost for me, but I mean, I think I had 3 rainbows on that summit, and one was a 40-second time save, so...
Yeah, I should really start doing individual splits for every section of Summit instead of just entering 3,000.
I used to do it for just the chapter as a whole, but I started keeping like the exact second of where I wanted to be on each one to the point that it seemed kind of silly to not split each individual section.
I just have 3k. That's all I have. And we also have UncleRonny here with us. Congratulations on that sub 40.
Hello, thank you.
How does getting into the sub 40 club feel?
It feels great. I was really hoping to get a PB in the tournament, and getting it on my first race in the tournament and being a sub 40 is like more than I could have asked for.
And it looks like you had a pretty solid run overall. Was there like any particular chapters that went extra well for you this time around?
Extra well, you said?
Yeah.
Ridge and Temple were actually pretty great. Like for my standards, which are pretty low. But yeah.
Hey. I mean, all you have to compare yourself is, or all you have to compare yourself to is your own standards. So.
Resort was terrible. What can I do?
Yeah. Resort can really be harsh sometimes. And since we were discussing earlier, did you have any interesting or very dumb deaths that you want to share with us that we might have missed?
Oh, there was one in Summit in 3000, and where was the other one, the really dumb one? I forgot. I think they were both in Summit. Oh, maybe in no, I forgot.
Nerds with the top bubble strats.
What?
The top bubble.
Actually makes a bit sense.
Actually, I've never seen that one.
I haven't seen it used in a run. You used it to skip those first 2 rooms. I guess he has like some trouble with the strat there. Huh.
I don't know. I mean, can have a few problems, especially the extended in the second room can be tricky. Looks like going to the basement to use the red bubble instead of doing key skip and doing an intentional retry, maybe to just step the cycles on the death cycle. I don't know.
Probably.
Getting through it quickly though, so that's all that's really important.
If it works, let's not say anything about it. Nope.
This was a phenomenal run, and thank you guys for your commentary. I think I'm probably going to head out and eat something and try and get my adrenaline down a little bit.
That sounds like a good idea, dude. That was a very entertaining race to watch, so thank you for participating. Very nice.
Ronnie, good game. It was great playing against you.
Good game, dude.
Yeah, and congrats again on your PB, Ronnie. It was very, very nice to see. That sub 40 is like the best feeling when you get it first. I still remember that. Good day.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. Alright, thanks guys.
Yeah, thank you too. Have a good one. And now we have Nerds here in 2.5k. Went for door skip a couple of times, but doesn't get it unfortunately. But at least he went for it, which is very respectable.
Yeah. I mean, according to chat, saying Nerds' PB is a 46. Probably not going to be getting that, so...
No, he's gonna
some
pass
of the stress is taken away when your opponent's already finished and you're not even on PB pace. You can just kind of... You have really nothing to worry about at that point except for just wanting to have fun.
Yeah. Unless maybe he can do... Maybe he can finish 3K in 10 seconds. Maybe he can do it.
Maybe.
I don't.
Assist mode.
Not even with assist. With assist mode and debug mode, teleporting the last speed, that could work.
Maybe with just being a legend. I don't think so.
Yeah, in assist mode, the 3,000 meters is like a minute and a half still.
I don't know how
really?
the assist
Yeah,
stuff works.
I know because
I mean, you can dash infinitely, so you can just dash upwards through all this, and also not even worry about the spikes. You can just keep going. It's kind of
really great category. Everybody should run it.
Do we even have a meme category for assist mode speedrunning? Because I would totally do that.
Not yet, but there have been like multiple people who've run it.
No, I want that to be a thing.
Alright, looks like gnirts is nearing the end of the downdrafts. Very nice. Downdrafts are really tricky because the higher gravity is just really rough.
Yeah. Definitely. Unless you're like really comfortable with wall bounces, it can be quite whatchamacallit. It can be quite an annoying section. Oh, accidentally dashing there. That doesn't work, unfortunately.
Alright, making it through 13 is a really hard checkpoint, so doing pretty good. About to head to the final 10, which is, of course, hard. Very.
Yep. I mean, I've claimed that 13 and 14 are a bit, maybe not harder, but at least harsher. Like, the deaths can be very, very costly on 13 and 14 especially.
Especially with some people who skip 10, though, which fortunately gnirts did not. That sounded like 9? There, yeah, okay, that was 9. Now that we have everything focused on gnirts, I can kind of use audio. Like,
yep.
That was 7.
Get through there and moving on to 6 here. About to finish up here.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, that was a bit scary, but hey, it's fine.
Okay. Yep, on to the last 5. Since the screen borders actually have a checkpoint, you can not grab 5 and then have no risk, because it'll respawn you at 5 if you die before 4 anyways. But I don't know. Some people might not know that, so.
I only learned this like a couple of days ago, so it's pretty nice.
You can just hear the feathers. And checkpoint 2. And oh, that's 1. All right. Yep, I can even climb it up to the top now. And ooh,
not even close.
On that wall bounce.
There we go. And finishes
there it is.
57.
GG to
gnirts. GG indeed. Pretty solid run there overall. So I think we're just about ready to wrap up. But before we do let you go, we do have more races coming up, of course. So in an hour on speedgaming.com, the main one. We have Scrabble vs. McCucken. After that, we have a race at 7, 9, and 10 p.m. on, let's see, Speed Gaming 5 and on the main Speed Gaming channel. So, day full of Celeste, just like almost any other day now that we're still going through these group stages here. So, we're going to go now. Thank you to the runners and GG's. Thank you, Laurie, for being a great co-commentator.
No problem. Had a lot of fun, so it was all fun.
And thank you everyone for watching, and have a great day.